Pop culture portrays the Spartans as the ultimate defenders of liberty, warrior poets in red capes standing against the tide of tyranny. Lycurgus, the architect of the Spartan state, had a different objective. He viewed the individual as a programmable unit within a social machine. His laws were designed to strip away personal identity until only the state remained. Lycurgus treated human nature as a glitchy operating system. To ensure the population could function efficiently, he used a regime of state-mandated discipline and physical trauma to overwrite personal desire with total obedience. This wasn't a traditional government. It was the first historical attempt at absolute social engineering, turning an entire population into a biological processor. This rigid focus eventually broke the state. Historically, the Spartan system collapsed because it could not adapt to any world outside its own borders. The downfall was hard-coded into the Rhetra, the Spartan constitution. These laws enforced total economic isolation, replacing gold with heavy iron bars to make trade impossible, and keeping the Spartan citizens trapped within their own perfection. But if Lycurgus had viewed his system not as a fortress, but as a virus, the trajectory of the Mediterranean changes. If he chooses to export Spartan discipline rather than hide it, the borders of the Peloponnese cease to be a limit. Replacing isolation with expansion ensures the Spartan model becomes the default setting for every city-state it touches. In 800 BC, Lycurgus returns from Egypt, having studied the architectural scale of their centralized power. In this timeline, he realizes that the same top-down control can be sold to others. Sparta becomes an export hub for elite advisors. Instead of keeping their training secret, they begin selling Spartan methodology to the leaders of neighboring city-states. These elite advisors don't invade with swords. They use ideological subversion to convince rival elites that Spartan order is the only cure for the chaos of democracy, slowly installing Spartan-style education in every major Greek city. By the time the first battles are fought, the enemy's youth have already been raised to believe their own individuality is a burden. Because Spartan-trained elites already managed the education of every Mediterranean tribe by 500 BC, the early Roman Republic is reorganized into a Spartan province before it can ever expand. This kills the Industrial Revolution. In a world where Lycurgus's infant sorting practices have scaled globally, society is divided into rigid genetic castes. Innovation is suppressed because the laborer caste is trained never to question the tools they are given. This creates the era of laconism. Culture is stripped of ornament, language is reduced to the transfer of data, and the concept of art is discarded as an inefficient waste of resources. Personal technology in this timeline is purely functional. A device isn't designed to capture memories or provide entertainment. Instead, it is a biomonitor used to ensure the citizen's heart rate remains optimal for their daily assigned task. There are no nations left to go to war, only a global hierarchy of production zones and training camps. The Spartan experiment offers a baseline to measure our own modern systems of control. User engagement data shows that when given a choice between the anxiety of infinite freedom and the comfort of a curated, predictable routine, the majority of people consistently choose the routine. Lycurgus knew that controlling a child's relationship with discipline from age 7 creates a psychological bond to the system that is almost impossible to break in adulthood. This suggests that our period of individual liberty may be a brief historical deviation before returning to the stability of the hive. We see the return of these utility-driven hierarchies in the design of modern corporate campuses. These are closed loops designed to provide everything a worker needs, so they never have to leave the system's influence. Digital algorithms now perform the work of the Spartan advisors. They analyze our behavior to predict our needs, effectively removing the burden of choice and narrowing our focus to a predetermined path. We are being reformatted into functional components of a global, optimized organism that prioritizes predictable output over individual variation. Lycurgus didn't lose his battle against history. He was simply waiting for a technology capable of implementing his vision on a global scale.